Hello everyone, thanks for coming back. I'm going to continue on about the lawlessness of Canada and the failure of our legal system. When I retired, I went to the University of British Columbia and I wanted to study law. Now, where the university that I went to, you could study law when you're a retired person, and you could write all the tests, but you wouldn't get the mark, okay? But in law, and I went through this at the University of British Columbia, Vancouver, Canada. They said you can't study it at all. You have to, if you were to study law, and you can't study it after you're retired. They don't allow this. It's like a union. It's like a union, and the rules are really preposterous. So what can you do? You can't do anything. They will not teach you anything, and you can't take part-time courses either. The only people who can are police officers, and they don't get student loans. They have a 12-hour shift. They work that 12-hour shift, and they come back to school and pick up whatever classes they can pick up. And I know one, two, three lawyers in Canada who all were police officers before um, studying law, and all three, as graduated lawyers, it's called. Usually the course is 3 years long, but sometimes it's 4 years long, depending on what university you go to. All of them were called to the bar, all three. And that doesn't happen to everybody. But if you're from policing, you will definitely be going to the bar. And once you become a member of the bar and you get a shingle, sometimes you get hired. Depends on, you see, what politicians you've been hanging around with. Here's an interesting one. This man's name is Gordon Campbell. He used to be the premier of the province of British Columbia. He has a drinking problem and a sex problem. He's a little bit like Boris Johnson. So anyway, when this man was our premier in British Columbia, he had lots and lots of money for the Olympics and for bridges, and it had to be in the billions of dollars or he wasn't interested. And then after he was retiring, he went to the Prime Minister of Canada, who was a conservative. This man, Gordon Campbell, was a liberal. Anyway, the Prime Minister of Canada decided to appoint him. Here he is here, Stephen Harper, Flatlander from the prairies. Stephen Harper appointed him as our representative in the city of London. He was the ambassador to London. I don't know if anybody knows what London is. The city of London is like saying Washington, D.C. It is a different state. It's not. They do have a mayor who is unelected. He is a Rothschild. And there's one other city like it, and it's the city of Rome. It's Vatican City. It's also a DC for some reason. However, Gordon Campbell, this man, he's had a few sexual encounters. Before he went to England, he was drunk driving in the state of Hawaii. And he was the premier of the province of British Columbia at the time. Drunk as shit. He was at the Latrimo, as they're called, and they were broadcasters here in British Columbia, So anyway, they had a history together, and he was drunk at their house, and on the way back, he got stopped by a state trooper. And the state trooper approached his car, and he'd obviously been weaving all over the goddamn place. And so Campbell stays in the car, of course, and the cop says to him, "Sir, I've been following you, and you're driving erratically. I'd like to see your driver's license and registration, please." And this man, Gordon Campbell, he sticks his head out the window of the car and says, "Excuse me, don't you know who I am?" Thinking he's a very, very important person. Even the people of Hawaii would know who he is. The state trooper looked at him and he said, "No, sir, I don't know who you are, but I'm hoping you know who you are." I know that sounds humorous, but unfortunately it's true. So he got charged for a DUI, driving under the influence of alcohol, because he's at the Latrimo's mansion, which it is, in Hawaii. And so he doesn't stay for the court appearance. He hired a lawyer, came back to Canada, all full of himself, and so his lawyer goes to court, misdemeanor charge in Hawaii, that's what it is, drunk driving. He didn't hit anything, he didn't hit anybody, but he was drunk and driving. So, he said when he came to Canada, he was voluntarily giving up his driver's license for 2 years. Now, being the premier of the province, he's already got a limousine and a driver. So, where's the pain there? He wanted to tell his fellow countrymen that I will be experiencing the pain just like everybody else experiences pain. Well, that's not true. However, just to get back to our wonderful country of Canada, so I couldn't study law. I have a lawyer friend, and he said, he said, here's the problem. If you're in law, just the professors are all got their eyes open for people who might be what they would call troublemakers. And he said, you would definitely be one because you rely upon this thing called the rule of law. He says, we don't actually have rule of law. Now, as things go on, I represent myself many times, actually, but I've never been permitted to speak. Representing my own cases, no judge ever let me talk. Never. Not yet to this day have I been permitted to speak. And I asked my lawyer friend why that is. He says, because in Canada, with the Constitution of 1981 written by Joseph Trudeau, who used to go by the name of Pierre, but his real name is Joseph, he changed our system of law so that judges have all of the rights of Canadians in their hands. We have none. In the United States, the rights of Americans belong to Americans. In Canada, the rights of Canadians belong to the judiciary. And who appoints the judiciary? Politicians. And you can stack the political system here, which is done regularly. Our current Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, is stacking the judiciary with all of his own people, the Liberals. And it's becoming very, very apparent. And we're seeing this in the United States as well, with Hunter Biden and people like that, who are not going to be charged with any crime. Nothing's going to happen to them. It's quite remarkable how here's Joseph Trudeau. And here's his son, Justin Trudeau, who's commonly referred to as a dictator. And that's not far from the truth. He truly is a dictator. He's held in power by a Sikh. We have, when the Sikhs came to Canada, they discovered that it was a very easy country to take over. And we have a lot. If you look in our parliament, I don't know what percentage of the population is Sikh, but it's got to be, I don't know, less than 5% probably. And so how many do we have in Ottawa that are representing us in our government? Well, here he is. Jagmeet Singh has got a coalition government with Justin Trudeau, with this man. And he likes the smell of power, and since you have a coalition government, I expect that the Prime Minister's chair, perhaps there's two Prime Minister's chairs now. This man is in one, and Justin Trudeau is in the other. However, just to tell you, the Law Society here, I have complained to them because I haven't been able to speak, and cases are written up, and I get notice later that there was a court hearing, but I was never notified. This has happened to me on 3 occasions. I complained to the Law Society. They said there's nothing wrong here. I was in one courtroom where the lawyer, a woman, her name is Shelley Chapalski, she lied to the judge to win her case, and he agreed. Yeah, you're out of here. The judge wouldn't let me speak at all. He said, Mr. Wheaton, I've dismissed your case. It's over. It's over. He flabbergasted. He said, I can't believe you want to talk. Why do you want to talk? And here I start to read my my legal argument, which was written for me by my lawyer friend. He was trying to help me, and he's in the courtroom. He's at the back wall clicking his pen. So I stand up and I start reading. I'm in small claims court. Shelley Chapalski is representing the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, a criminal organization, in my opinion. Anyway, so here we go. Well, you get nothing. You get nothing. The judges are on the side of the lawyers. So I write letters of complaint. What about this? And they say, well, we had a vote, and we voted unanimously that the lawyer has done nothing wrong. We voted unanimously. What about her lying to the judge? No answer back. Do lawyers lie to judges? Yes. You and I, self-represented, if we lie to the judge, we are in serious, serious trouble. But lawyers do it all the time here. And in British Columbia, by the way, and in Canada, if you have a court decision against you, or court decision of any kind, it cannot be overturned. Even though and that's why the lawyers are lying to the judges every day, because once they got the decision, you can appeal it until your head falls off. You're not going to get it changed. No judge, all the judges back up the other judges. They all do it. Here we have in this city, Vancouver, there was a case where the police were using a faulty piece of equipment to test for drunk driving. So they made the total fines from this activity was in excess of $50 million. And everybody got a criminal record. So these people who are protesting their innocence, obviously the police handcuff them and smack them around a little bit, just so they get to understand that it's actually a police state, which it really is. Canada is a police state. So they hired a lawyer, had a class action lawsuit. This didn't happen long enough. The judge's name was McEwen. I should read it to you, actually, his decision. I have the whole thing. So the judge agreed. They're not drunk drivers. The machinery's faulty. So the judge says, I will expunge their records. They will no longer be criminals. So the lawyer says, Your Honor, I need to have my costs paid by the Crown, and this $50 million needs to be returned to these people who are innocent. The judge said, no, you're not getting paid, and no, the $50 million is not going back to these innocent people. It's not. Judge McEwen, you can look this up. This is the way judges are in Canada. You can't believe this stuff. No one could make it up. I have to get off. I'm going too long because I realize, and I watch these YouTubes myself, that it's people have a certain time limit for paying attention. I'm going to continue with this, but for now, I'll just tell you that you cannot study law in Canada unless you intend to become a member of the bar. But even if you graduate as a graduated lawyer, you may never be called, because you might run into I could give you Beverly Ann McLaughlin, the former top judge in Canada. This woman, she has a 2-year law degree, and she became the top judge of Canada. And that's not she was appointed once she got a 2-year law degree. She did family law, is what she did. Somehow she has an angel of some sort. She got a job as a professor, a full professor, University of British Columbia, where I applied. Full professor, and it came with tenure. She wasn't in a tenured track. She got tenure right away, which is impossible. No university does that. So why was that? She taught law. She only studied for 2 years herself. And now she's teaching other people who are going to be studying for 3. Does that make any sense to you? I'm going to continue later. Thank you. My friends are going to close the show. Thank you very much. Bye.
Wow, Pedro gives you his special gypsy glasses and this is what you choose to look at? Pedro is not very sorry for you.